For 40 years, this soldier had been searching for his lost twins after they were adopted without him knowing. But then something unbelievable happened. When Alan Thomas arrived in South Korea in 1966, he began performing his duties, but life there was vastly different from the US, and it took time for him to adjust. During this period, he met a woman named Pae Sang-kum, whom he affectionately called Connie. Alan described that time as one of the happiest in his life. Not long after, Connie shared unexpected news. She was pregnant. It was a great surprise for me, and I think for her too. But I was all for it, Alan recalled. On September 10, 1967, Connie gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, bringing even more joy into their lives. Alan was overjoyed, and the couple named their twins James and Sandia. The babies brought immense happiness to their parents, and Alan was determined to create a proper family. So in 1968, when he turned 21, he asked Connie to marry him. Not only did he marry her, but he also adopted her son. J.M. Life was going well for Alan and his growing family. During the day, Alan would go to work and return home to the warm embrace of his wife and children. However, things changed the following year. In 1969, just a year after marrying Connie, Alan's time in South Korea came to an end. He had anticipated this and made preparations to move to America with his family. But unexpectedly, Connie and J.M.'s passports were not approved, disrupting their plans. They tried and tried, but none of them could travel with him. So when Alan returned to America, his sole priority was to sort out their passport issues so that he could be reunited with his family. But despite his persistence, his wife and kids still weren't allowed to join him in his country. Instead, Alan had to volunteer for a dangerous mission in Vietnam so that he would get a chance to be with his family. While in Vietnam, Alan tried to sort out their immigration issues, but still, he was unsuccessful. He believed that if he was still in Asia, it would be easy for him to sort out everything concerning his family's relocation. When he was in Vietnam, he received letters from his family, and he counted the days until he saw them again. He requested a 30-day leave to see his family, but it took about a year before it was granted. Although he was receiving letters from his family during his first year in Vietnam, he noticed that there was a strain in their relationship. So on his way back to South Korea, he was excited to see his children and also nervous about his relationship with Connie. He hoped that spending some time together would help them get close again, but unfortunately, by the end of the 30 days, their relationship had only deteriorated further. After his 30 days were up, he went back to Vietnam. His family had escorted him to the airport. Alan didn't look back as he was about to go on the plane because he knew he might not want to leave anymore. If he had known that was the last time he would see his family together, he would have taken one more look at them. In 1971, his stint in Vietnam ended. But at the same time, his relationship with Connie was non-existent, so he didn't return to South Korea and went to America with the thought of returning to his children when the time was right. In 1974, he heard from Connie one last time. In the message Connie sent, she had asked him to come to South Korea for his kids, but unfortunately he couldn't. He was bankrupt and couldn't afford to travel abroad. He reached out to her and told her to give him time, but he got no response. After that, he never heard from her again. Alan kept trying to get in touch with Connie to know how his kids were faring, but there was still no response. He wrote letters and sent money, but soon his letters were returned without a forwarding address, and he couldn't reach them anymore. When everything turned out the way it did, he got a divorce from Connie in absentee, and he met a high school friend, Polly Packlin. Polly also had 2 children from a previous marriage, Charlene and Scott. After some time, Alan married Polly and adopted her children, just like he did with Connie. Not long after, he and Polly also had a son together. However, despite having a beautiful family in America, he couldn't forget his twins in South Korea and began looking for ways to get through to them. In the early 80s, he learned about the Pearl S. Buck Foundation, which helps support Asian American children. He reached out to them and informed them of his plight. They started searching for the twins immediately, and after a while, They found out that Connie had put up the twins for adoption in 1976. What makes this even more interesting is that they had been adopted by an American and were living in America. Alan was excited to find out that his kids were in America, but his excitement faded away when he was told that they couldn't give more information due to privacy laws. But he didn't let that stop him from trying, and he kept searching for his children. He had even asked his daughter Charlene to help look for his kids on the internet, but they couldn't find them. So they put up a post on Facebook stating this predicament. In April 2015, Alan posted pictures and documents on Facebook about his missing twins. He pleaded with people to help him find his children. Soon, the posts went viral and millions of people also reposted the messages online. The post caught the attention of ABC News, and they asked the investigative genealogist, Pamela Slayton, to help them with the case. ABC News Seoul bureaucracy chief Joo Hee-Choo also began the search earnestly. He searched using the twins' birth date as it was written on the certificate. But they were nowhere to be found. Slayton related that she had begun to panic when she couldn't find any traces of the twins, despite the information that they were in the U.S. I mean, if they're in the U.S. and they were adopted together. That could be a really great way to put the pieces together. But when the twins seemed to have vanished, the panic started setting in. Chief Chu continued his search, and one day, he got a message from a South Korean policeman, Lee, who claimed to have found Connie. He said Connie had died in 2007. With the knowledge that Connie was dead, Chu went to visit the adoption agencies in South Korea. When he mentioned Connie and the name of the twins at the South Korean Social Services, he saw the glint of recognition in the attendant's eyes. She didn't give any information about the twins' whereabouts, but she hinted that the sibling of the twins was the only one who could share the details. Chu went straight to work and started his search for Jae-am, Connie's first son. Thankfully, finding Jae-am was much easier than finding her siblings. Jae-am related how much his mother regretted putting the twins up for adoption till the day she died. She would just go to anyone in the neighborhood and say, "If you see any twins, Korean-American twins, looking for Mrs. Pei, that's me, make sure that they call me." After hearing that Alan was looking for his kids, Jae-am decided to ask for the records, and that was where the actual search began. The records showed that a certain Mrs. Parker had adopted them, and their names had been changed from James and Sandia to Timothy and Susan. After getting the information, Slayton started searching for Timothy Parker. Luckily enough, she stumbled upon one who was in Missouri and also had a twin. When she called, Timothy's roommate answered and passed along the message that his father was searching for him. Unsure how to process the news, Timothy hesitated before returning Slayton's call. After speaking with her and hearing the details, he realized she might actually be telling the truth. With cautious optimism, he decided to meet with her. 4 months after they were located, Slayton called Alan to share the news. Alan was stunned, but also filled with worry. Do they want to talk to me? Will this be okay? Can they forgive me for all the years we've lost? He wondered. After 40 years of searching for his children, Alan had finally found them, and he could hardly believe his luck. Sandia, now known as Susan Williams, was married with children, and Timothy's hair had already turned gray. They embraced and talked as if no time had passed despite the years of separation. It was an emotional and unforgettable moment for everyone present, leaving a lasting impression on their hearts. I'm really keen to know your thoughts on this story, so please don't hesitate to share your insights in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and found it engaging, I invite you to subscribe to our channel for more similar content. Feel free to share this video. Take good care of yourselves, and I'm excited to connect with you in our future videos.